I have high expectations, and I have high expectations first of myself, and then I have that of our staff and of our team. So number one, this is a place where players can come and get better and be surrounded by an organization that supports you. They're going to have everything they need.
All right, folks, Ark here. Swish is working behind the scenes on this one. Now let's dive into what's got the entire WNBA world buzzing. Yep, you guessed it. It's like musical chairs mixed with Russian roulette for coaches. This spicy WNBA drama is centered around the Indiana Fever potentially, almost certainly replacing head coach Christy Sides. And the name being floated as her replacement? None other than former coach and current Connecticut Sun head coach Stephanie White. The Stephanie White sweepstakes has begun. Yep, you heard that right. It's like the NBA draft lottery, but for coaches. Stephanie White, the former head coach of the Fever and currently the boss over at Connecticut Sun, is apparently being courted by multiple teams, including, drumroll, the Indiana Fever. That's like a celebrity ex showing up at your high school reunion after a major glow-up. Fever fans, how would you feel about seeing White back in Indiana? Now, before we get too deep into White's potential return, let's talk about Christy Sides. Christy was hired as the Fever's head coach 2 years ago, after years of being an assistant coach for teams like the Chicago Sky and the Atlanta Dream. She came in with solid credentials, and in her first season with the Fever, she helped turn the ship around. The Fever went from being a total disaster post-Tamika Catchings to snagging 13 wins last year and then improving to 20 wins this season. That's progress, right? Now here's a juicy little detail that might change how you see things. Apparently, Christy Sides didn't even want the head coach job when she was first offered it. That's right, she had to be convinced to accept the position back in 2022, before Caitlin Clark was even on the radar. Think about that. It's like someone convincing you to take a ride on a roller coaster, only to find out the next year they've turned it into the world's biggest, fastest, and most terrifying ride. You're strapped in and now there's no getting off. Wait, what? At the time, the expectations were lower. Sides stepped into a team that was just trying to find its footing, but then boom, enter Caitlin Clark. Overnight, the Indiana Fever went from a rebuild to the must-watch franchise in the WNBA. Suddenly, Sides found herself in a high-stakes position that she hadn't even fully asked for. It's no wonder the pressure has been through the roof this season. But here's the thing. Christy wasn't just coaching basketball, she was coaching in a pressure cooker. The second the Fever drafted Caitlin Clark, it was like going from cooking a nice Sunday roast to trying to grill a steak at 1,000 degrees. The expectations shot through the roof. Clark brought so much attention to this team. Attendance skyrocketed, TV ratings surged, and suddenly, 4,000 fans in the stands became 17,000. That's not pressure. That's like trying to parallel park with everyone in the city watching. Speaking of Caitlin Clark, this is the biggest factor in this coaching saga. When you bring in a player like Clark, the expectations change. It's like signing LeBron James as a rookie, and suddenly, anything short of a championship feels like a letdown. Clark isn't just an incredible scorer, she's a walking, talking, three-point shooting fan magnet. And with her on the roster, the Fever became a top draw in the WNBA. Now imagine trying to manage that level of attention as a coach. Christy Sides wasn't just expected to improve the team, she was expected to take a team that hadn't been great in years and turn them into instant contenders. That's a tough ask, especially when you're still finding your footing as a head coach. Now let's shift our focus back to Stephanie White. If you don't remember, White was the Fever's head coach back in 2015, leading them to the WNBA Finals. This woman knows how to coach a winning team, and she's shown it again at Connecticut, where she's had incredible success, even winning Coach of the Year in 2023. So it's no surprise the Fever are looking at her like, hey, remember how good we were when you were around? It's like that scene in every romantic comedy where the protagonist realizes the best person for them was the one they let go years ago. Except in this case, it's not a romantic comedy. Or is it? Anyway, it's the WNBA, and the stakes are high for the Fever. So why would the Fever consider replacing Christy Sides after she's shown some progress? Simple. Timing. With Caitlin Clark on board, the Fever are no longer in rebuilding mode, they're in win-now mode.
This team to be the leader in the country and, a brand, an enduring brand, like Apple or something. I mean, we have a real opportunity here.
It's like playing a video game where you've been grinding for hours, then suddenly you unlock the ultimate cheat code that changes everything. Caitlin Clark is that cheat code, a generational talent who instantly elevates the team's expectations from steady improvement to championship contention. Before, it was all about rebuilding, growing, and being patient. But fast forward to today, Clark's arrival shifts the entire dynamic. Now it's like going from a casual level to the final boss fight overnight with no time to prep. You're suddenly surrounded by empty cans of energy drinks and piles of junk food because you know you're pulling an all-nighter to win this thing. The stakes are sky high, and the pressure is on to perform. Caitlin Clark isn't just another player. She's the game changer that makes every second count. And now the Fever have to level up fast, with no room for error. As much as Sides has done a solid job, the Fever might feel they need a Hall of Fame level coach to fully maximize what Clark brings to the table. Think about it. You don't just hand the controller to anyone when you've got the cheat code that can win the game. You need someone who's proven they can handle the heat, someone with championship credentials like Stephanie White to take the team to the next level. And that's the position the Fever find themselves in. A franchise blessed with the ultimate player but needing the right coach to unlock that full potential and go for it all. Let's face it, the Fever situation is unique. You don't often see a team go from being a bottom dweller to a top contender in the span of a season. But that's exactly what's happening. The Fever are leading the league in attendance, their games are must-watch events, and every mistake the coach makes is magnified 1,000 times more than it would have been a year ago. Imagine trying to cook a meal and suddenly Gordon Ramsay shows up in your kitchen shouting, "What are you doing?" That's the pressure Christy is under right now, and it's understandable why the Fever would consider a change to ensure they capitalize on this golden opportunity. So what's next? Well, according to reports, Stephanie White is weighing her options and working through serious family matters. She's currently under contract with the Connecticut Sun, but she could leave if she wanted to. But here's where the Fever's decision becomes even more strategic. While they could pull the trigger now and go after Stephanie White immediately, there's also the possibility of waiting one more year. Why? Because of two key factors: the current collective bargaining agreement, CBA, and White's contract with the Sun, which still has 1 year left. If the Fever wait until the end of 2025, they could avoid paying hefty buyouts for both Christy Sides and White, allowing them to work within a more favorable financial landscape once the new CBA is in place. It's like holding off on buying the next-gen console until it drops in price or gets a major upgrade. Sure, you could rush in now and take the hit to your wallet, but patience might give you a better deal, and even more options down the road. By waiting, the Fever could navigate through these financial hurdles more smoothly and still land the Hall of Fame level coach they need, without sacrificing their budget or team chemistry too early. Plus, with a new CBA likely to impact player salaries, team cap structures, and even coach compensation, Lions and Tigers and Bears, oh my. There's an argument for taking a step back and letting things settle before making a massive financial commitment. So while the temptation to act immediately is strong, there's also a case to be made for playing the long game. The Fever might still be in win-now mode, but waiting a year could put them in a stronger, more stable position to grab White and build a sustainable path to the top. And if White does come back, what does that mean for Christy Sides? She's a solid coach, no doubt, right? But in this league, and in this moment, it's all about winning championships. Christy's done great work, but with all the pressure and attention on the Fever, anything less than a deep playoff run might not be enough anymore. So here's the big question facing the Indiana Fever. To be or not to be, Coach Sides or Coach White? That's the dilemma. Do they stick with Christy Sides, who's shown growth but might still need more time? Or do they bring in Stephanie White, a proven coach with championship potential? It's like standing at a crossroads in the game, wondering if you should stick with your solid but steady character, or swap in the power-up that promises instant wins. Either way, the choice could make or break the Fever's shot at glory. To wrap this up, whether the Fever stick with Christy Sides or bring back Stephanie White, one thing's for sure. The Fever are in a win-now mode, and they need a coach who can handle the heat. With Caitlin Clark leading the charge, this team has a real shot at being a powerhouse in the WNBA for years to come, but they can't afford to wait. It's like they've got the keys to a Ferrari. They just need the right driver behind the wheel. Thanks for watching, everyone. What do you think? Should the Fever stick with Christy Sides, or is it time to bring back Stephanie White? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more WNBA updates and hot takes. Until next time, keep ballin'.